Deep in the heart of Egypt, there's an amazing place. It's called Karnak Temple. This old site isn't just one temple, it's a huge area that has survived for a very long time. It shows how smart and devoted the ancient Egyptians were. It's a place with tall pillars and ancient secrets. These pillars, some taller than 65 feet, are covered in detailed carvings and hieroglyphs. They tell stories about gods, kings, and the universe. This is like a trip back in time. When the sun comes up over the temple, it lights up how grand this civilization was thousands of years ago. Walking through these old ruins, you feel connected to the past. Imagine a really big temple complex. Karnak covers over 200 acres, making it the biggest religious building ever made. Its size is amazing. Karnak is like a city of temples, built and rebuilt over many years. Each pharaoh added their own style, making it a mix of different building designs and history. It shows how powerful the pharaohs were. These rulers, who were like gods on earth, spent lots of resources to build and expand Karnak, creating something magnificent. It's a symbol of what ancient Egyptians believed. The walls of Karnak are filled with hieroglyphs and carvings that show religious rituals, myths, and why the pharaohs were so important. Karnak Temple was a place people traveled to. For a long time, people came from all over Egypt to show respect to their gods and ask for their help. People came from everywhere in Egypt to worship here. The temple was busy with people praying and giving gifts to the gods. They came to honor their gods. You could smell the incense and hear the chants as priests performed special ceremonies. They came to ask for good things. People wanted good crops, safety in battle, or just good luck in life. They believed their prayers would be answered in this holy place. The temple is still a mystery today. Even after all this time, we still don't know everything about Karnak. It makes people curious. Archaeologists are still finding new things. Each discovery teaches us more about how the ancient Egyptians lived and what they believed. Come with us as we explore this amazing place. Imagine you're in the time of the pharaohs, and discover the wonders of Karnak Temple, a place full of history and mystery. Karnak Temple wasn't built in a day. It grew over 2,000 years. Building started in the Middle Kingdom. That's about 2,000 years before Christ was born. Every pharaoh wanted to leave their mark on the world. They added their own temples and statues. They made the complex bigger. They made it more grand. Can you imagine how dedicated they were? Think about the thousands of workers. They dug up huge stones. They moved them using simple tools and were so clever. The temple wasn't just for the pharaohs, it was a place of worship for everyone. Regular people came to pray and give gifts to the gods. Karnak was the center of Egyptian religion. Karnak's size is amazing. This old temple, near Luxor in Egypt, is one of the biggest religious buildings ever made. It covers over 200 acres. It shows how great the ancient Egyptians were at building. Karnak is grand, not just because it's big, but also because of its tiny details and many buildings. Huge pillars reach the sky. These giant columns, some over 70 feet tall, are amazing examples of ancient engineering. Every pillar has carvings and hieroglyphics. They tell stories of gods, kings, and what life was like in ancient Egypt. Tall obelisks stand tall like monuments to the sun god. These towers, often made from one piece of granite, honored the gods and remembered important events. It's amazing how carefully they were made and how hard it was to move and build them. The hypostyle hall is like a forest of columns. This huge hall with its 134 big columns is one of Karnak's coolest parts. Walking through it feels like going to a different world where the past comes alive. The hypostyle hall is amazing. It's so big and beautiful that it makes people say, wow. Each column is a work of art, with detailed carvings that are still here today. 134 giant columns hold up the roof. These columns are in 16 rows, making a maze-like space that is both grand and mysterious. The tallest columns are in the middle, letting light shine in. Even today, it's an amazing feat of engineering. Building something this big shows how smart the ancient Egyptians were. Engineers today are still amazed by how these columns were built and lined up so well. The columns are covered in hieroglyphics. These old writings show us how the people who built Karnak lived and what they believed. Each symbol and picture tells a story, saving ancient Egypt's history and culture. These are ancient Egyptian writings. They're not just decorations. They're a way people talk to each other. They wrote down important events, religious things, and what the pharaohs did. Look at the walls. See the colorful carvings? These bright pictures show daily life, religious ceremonies, and old stories. The colors make the stories even better. They tell stories of pharaohs and gods. Each carving is like a photo from history, showing winning moments, worship, and everyday life. Making these pictures took real skill and artistry. They show battles and religious ceremonies. Every image is important. Obelisks are another amazing thing. These tall, skinny monuments weren't just cool buildings, they were symbols of power and devotion. These tall, thin monuments point to the sky. They were made to catch the first sunlight, showing the connection between the pharaohs and the gods. They were carved from one big piece of granite. It took a lot of skill and work to cut, move, and build these huge structures. It shows how clever and determined the ancient Egyptians were. Imagine how hard it was to build them. Hundreds of workers, careful planning, and tons of hard work were needed, but the results were spectacular. They left something behind that still amazes us today. Many pharaohs helped build Karnak. One of the most famous was Thutmose III. He built the temple's biggest obelisk. It's a towering 97 feet tall. Hatshepsut was a powerful female pharaoh. She added her own temple to Karnak. It has beautiful carvings, showing her life and rule. Ramses II, the great builder, also left his mark. He added the huge entrance gate. He also built the great hypostyle hall. Priests were very important at Karnak. They took care of the temple. They led religious ceremonies. They protected knowledge. Section 5. Hidden Secrets. Unveiling Karnak's lesser-known facts. Karnak Temple is full of surprises. One fascinating fact is the sacred lake. This lake, made by people, was used for ritual cleansing. Did you know? There's a hidden room in the temple. It contains thousands of bronze statues. They were offerings to the gods. The temple was once brightly colored. Imagine the walls painted in bright colors. You can still see traces of these colors today. Karnak was more than just a temple. It was a busy center of activity. There were workshops, schools, and even a bakery. Section 6. Sacred Sounds. Music and Rituals at Karnak. Imagine the sounds of Karnak. Priests chanting prayers, musicians playing harps and flutes, the air filled with sacred sounds. Music played a crucial role in temple rituals. It was used to honor the gods. It accompanied processions and ceremonies. It created a mystical atmosphere. The sistrum was a sacred rattle. Its rhythmic shaking was believed to please the gods. It was often played by priestesses. Offerings were made to the gods. These included food, drink, and precious objects. The Egyptians believed that keeping the gods happy was essential for their lives. Section 7. Beyond the Sands. Karnak's Enduring Legacy. After the Roman times, people stopped using Karnak Temple. Slowly, the desert sands covered it up. But that wasn't the end of its story. In the 1800s, archaeologists started digging at Karnak. They found amazing things hidden there. They put together the pieces of its past. Today, Karnak is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's one of the most popular places to visit in Egypt. People from all around the world come to see its magnificence. Karnak teaches us about ancient Egypt. It shows us how skilled they were at building. It tells us about their religious beliefs. It's like a window into a world that is gone. Section 8. A Timeless Journey. Reflecting on Karnak's majesty. Standing among the ruins of Karnak Temple, you can't help but feel amazed. The huge size of the buildings, the tall columns, and the big courtyards all show us a time when people wanted to do amazing things. It's a place where the past whispers stories through every stone, telling us about pharaohs, priests, and the people who walked here long ago. The size of the complex, the detailed carvings, the long history of the place. It's a lot to take in. Each carving, each hieroglyph, is a part of a bigger story. A story that has lasted for thousands of years. The art and skill aren't just impressive, they show how talented and dedicated the ancient Egyptians were. Karnak reminds us of how clever people can be. The amazing engineering, the way it lines up with the stars, and the huge size of the buildings are amazing. It's a place where science, art, and religion came together, creating a special place that has lasted through time. It shows how amazing ancient Egypt was. As the sun sets over the ruins, making long shadows and turning the stones gold, you can almost feel the people who were here long ago. It connects us to a civilization that, even after so much time, is still interesting and inspiring. And it's a journey through history. Walking through Karnak is like stepping back in time, where every corner shows you something new, a new piece of the puzzle of ancient Egypt. The temple complex isn't just a historical site, it's a living museum, where the past and present are together. As you leave Karnak, think about what you've seen. Think about the people who built these structures, the people who designed them, and the people who believed in them. It makes you feel small and reminds you of where we fit in history. Let the beauty of this ancient place sink in, the shapes of the columns against the setting sun, the detailed carvings that tell stories of gods and kings, all make you feel wonder and respect. It's a place that makes you think. Karnak is a place you remember long after you leave. The memories of its beauty, the stories of its history, and the feeling of connection to a distant past stay with you. It's a place that makes you want to go back and learn more. The next time you look at the stars, think of the ancient Egyptians. Imagine them looking at the same sky, finding inspiration in the stars. The way Karnak lines up with the stars shows how much they knew about astronomy. Think about how interested they were in space. The star maps carved in stone, the way the temple lines up with the stars, all show a culture that looked to the heavens for guidance. It reminds us that we all want to learn and understand. Think of Karnak, a place where heaven and earth seem to meet. The lit-up temple under the starry sky is beautiful, a symbol of how important ancient Egypt was. It's a place that still amazes us, showing how smart and strong that civilization was.